Hello everybody. It is Thursday at noon on the 9th of July 2020. I'm delighted to have you joining me here in the balcony at First Presbyterian Church for a little bit of live music this Thursday lunchtime. I do hope this finds you well and not suffering too greatly from heat and humidity. Firstly, today I'm going to play some music by Thomas Tomkins, not a particularly well-known composer these days, unless you grew up like me in the Anglican church choral tradition over in England, singing in a cathedral. Tomkins wrote lots and lots of music, lots of which is very fine, and he wrote pieces for concerts of viols, volumes and volumes of keyboard music, and material of that kind. A little bit of information about Tomkins is the piece I'm going to play is part of the Music Britannica Volume 5, which contained the complete keyboard music of Thomas Tomkins, who was born in 1572, got my numbers messed up there, 1572 to 1656. So he died a good 30 years before Bach was born, if you're willing to put that into some kind of perspective. For much of his life, Tomkins was the organist of Worcester Cathedral, and the organ there was built by Thomas Dallam in 1613 to 1614, who incidentally also designed the very famous organ case, I believe, that's in King's College Chapel in Cambridge, with the swirling, sort of flowing case and the angel trumpets and all the rest of it. The organ at Worcester, though, had two manuals with 13 stops, but like all English organs, it had no pedal board. That said, one of the interesting things about those keyboards is that at the bottom they had what's called a short octave, meaning that they didn't have all of the chromatic keys that we see today, but selected important notes. So it would have had 4 or 5 keys that looked like the normal chromatic keys that we would see, but they would actually play completely different notes. And what that means is that as we're playing along on modern keyboards, all of a sudden there will be something which is a very long way away, a wide stretch for our little pinky fingers. And it's because in the short octave, they just would have played a key very close by, and it would have sounded a note way down on the keys. So they didn't have pedals, but they had short octave keyboards which had some of the low notes that went below the general compass that we're accustomed to today. Another little feature of this music is that harmonically it seems fairly static, but every once in a while there'll be something quite piquant, like a major with a minor sounding chord, and the opposite as well. The other thing to listen for in this is that each line, I think this has been adapted from music for a viol consort, V-I-O-L, not V-I-L-E, and each line would have been played by a separate instrument. So sometimes the lines kind of cross over each other, but you'll definitely hear the interplay of all of the different lines of music. And I'm going to play this on the press stance stop, which is at 16-foot pitch, so I'm going to be sitting way up on the bench and playing it up an octave so that it sounds at the written pitch. So this is a fancy by Thomas Tomkins, which, interestingly enough, was written 373 years ago, plus 1 day. He actually dated his composition July the 8th, 1647. So 373 years ago, Thomas Tomkins wrote this piece in Worcester. You can tell that dance music is very close to all of the rhythms and kind of fun stuff going on here. One more piece which we might have heard in Worcester Cathedral in the 1640s. This one is called A Short Verse, and again all of the music is built up on small fragments of melodic shape and intervals and the rhythms that go with them. And now we continue our exploration of the two-part inventions of the great J.S. Bach. Today, inventions in G minor, A major, and A minor. On the first one, on the first two actually, I'm going to play on two separate keyboards, and in the right hand of the first one, I'm going to use the two 8-foot stops in the swell plus the Nazard, 2 2/3, accompanied in the left hand by the 8-foot principal and the 4-foot flute. And I'll say a little bit more about the registration for the A major invention in just a couple of minutes. For the A major, again, I'm going to play on two manuals, mostly because there's a moment where the paths actually cross, and this enables us to untangle the crossing parts where a note gets shared. I'm going to use, in the right hand, the cornet, the flute, the open flute and brassiness almost of the swell flute cornet, plus the 8-foot oboe, so adding a reed to that. And then on the lower manual, the great 8-foot German trumpet, again with a little bit of upper work at 4 and 2 and 2 2/3, so kind of a little broken down version of the sesquialtera. Program today, and it's a Sarabande by Herbert Howells, one of my favorite composers, who was very, very active in the really all through the 20th century until his death in 1984. He wrote yards and yards of music for the church, lots of organ music, and was a highly influential teacher, teaching at the Royal Academy of Music in London. Very, very many famous composers that we know of today, their composition teacher was Herbert Howells. This takes the form of basically a laying out of a melody and then a crescendo, and it uses a lot of, it's kind of joined to the Tompkins piece in that it has a lot of this major minor modality as it moves along. So the Sarabande in modo elegiaco.